right, so welcome back to Studio 39, aka the Bear Cave. I'm Rob Odie. This is Spotlight 39. Before we get started, please hit that subscribe button, comment down below, tell me who you want on the show. Make sure you give me that big thumbs up, man. As corny as it sounds, that's what's gonna make movement. That's what's gonna get this thing out there. Let's blow this thing up. Let's get these stories out there. Now that that's out the way, let's get into it. Tell us who you are, where you're from, what you do, and we'll go from there.
So I'm Justin Courtney. I'm from Bangor, Maine, and I'm a minor league pitcher with the Los Angeles Angels.
Los Angeles Angels, Bangor, Maine, right? So I was never sure if I was pronouncing that right. So it's Bangor, right?
Yo, yeah.
And
That
then,
people want to say banger, but there's an O in there for sure. So Bangor, yeah.
yeah, see, I was saying Bangor, and then people would correct me and say Banger. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just go with what I got. But nonetheless, man, thanks for jumping on. I'm super excited to have you. Super excited to have you share your story. So with that, man, if you don't mind, let's kind of walk back. Take a couple steps back in the past, and kind of revisit those high school years. Walk us through what was your breaking point, for your recruiting? At what point did you get recruited by UMaine, and then ultimately what led you to UMaine? And then from there on, I'm going to assume I know why based on location, but who am I? You tell me.
Yeah. So my high school recruiting process was probably a little different than most. Looking back on it, I was kind of the kid playing baseball and hockey and soccer. Like I was trying to do all three sports growing up and playing those all throughout high school. But originally, I thought I was going to be more of a hockey player.
Okay.
The baseball thing didn't really start to click for until my junior year of high school, really. Probably my sophomore summer leading into my junior year. But I was kind of just trying to do all three. I was a bigger kid growing up, like tall, like basically bigger than everybody. And then in middle school and my early years of high school, people kind of caught up to me. I wasn't really anything special on the field. I made the varsity baseball team as a sophomore, pitched in 3, 4 games maybe.
Okay.
Knew that the talent was there. I could throw strikes and I could get people out if I was in the game, but I never really had anything to put me over the top until probably, like I said, my sophomore summer going into my junior year. Really started getting in the weight room. There's a great trainer in Bangor, Isaac Wilkins, who took me under his wing and really we got after it. And that next summer after my junior year was the first time that I hit 90. We were in the Senior League World Series that was in Bangor back in 2013. That was one of the most fun summers, getting to play right in my hometown in front of basically the entire town.
Was that
Uh,
a national event or was it a state event?
that was a national event. Yeah, that was
Dude,
the Senior League World Series that Bangor was just lucky enough to host because Mansfield Stadium was the best place to play. So,
nice.
but even before that, before getting to the World Series, that summer with Legion baseball, I'd always played local. I wasn't ever on like a big travel like showcase team, and my coaches back then would always say like, if you're good enough, they'll find you.
Right.
Talking about scouts and all that sort of stuff. And I kind of just trusted the process of like, if I'm gonna keep playing, just keep putting myself out there in all these little tournaments. And um, the Northeast schools started to figure out who I was, and then the University of Maine came in like right at the end of the summer, probably before that Senior League World Series, and made me an offer. And I couldn't refuse that with the location, with the
Yeah.
money, with the
So
opportunity to play and
a
compete for a
full
spot.
scholarship,
So
right?
yeah,
That's awesome, man. So full scholarship basically in your backyard.
exactly. And a chance to play right away. That's all I really was looking for. Going back to college was just a chance to compete for a spot. You're never guaranteed anything, and that's what I ended up getting with the Angels too down the line is got a chance to compete for a spot. Nothing's guaranteed, but we'll got my foot in the door now. We'll see where it lands. And that's kind of how it started with UMaine too.
Yeah, man. So once you got a couple of opportunities, and then Maine came knocking. You said, you know what? There's there's no need to go through the process. I know where I'm calling home, right? I'm already here. And then we go to UMaine. Um, did you did what was your career like at UMaine? Did you pitch all 4 years, or kind of did you have to work your way up into the rotation? What did that look like?
So I was kind of I guess you could say lucky or just kind of in the right place at the right time. My freshman year, we had a couple injuries right off the bat, and I got thrown into. I was starting right on Friday nights as soon
Oh
as the
wow.
season got started. So I was the Friday night guy from my freshman year all the way through.
Oh wow.
I was an All American my freshman year, and kind of went up and down. My sophomore year, my shoulder started acting up, but we got to beat Clemson on their opening night when I pitched, and
Big.
a couple years later, we beat Miami when I was on the mound. Like we had some amazing runs through the times that I was playing, and I was just extremely fortunate to get the chance to be the Friday night guy right off the bat, and didn't really look back once we got things going. I had some success right away with it, and basically just took advantage of my opportunity. And then as it got closer and closer to like the draft comes around your junior year, I went undrafted that year. Didn't really have the best year. Came back for my senior year, and in the third or fourth week of the season, I had Tommy John surgery, which pushed me back another year. So I stayed for my fifth year, got my MBA taken care of
Well,
in
that's
that
cool.
whole 5 year span. So, um, I got my elbow fixed, and it was kind of up and down again in 2019, where some days were good, some days were not so good with how my elbow would feel, with just how every pitch was moving. Like it was, you didn't know what you were going to get, basically
Right.
being a year out from getting your elbow reconstructed. So that kind of went crazy for me too. I was throwing harder than I had ever before. It was like maybe like 90 to 93 in games on a good day, in 94, but it was never really something like that would put me over the top to become a draft pick or anything like that. So I went undrafted again and was kind of on the outside looking in, going into, I went to a few workouts with like the Phillies and the Reds just to try to see where the interest was and what kind of the next move would be. But it was the end of 2019. I still threw in front of some scouts, and they were kind of like, we need to see 95 plus if you're going to get a shot to play baseball now, with just the way the game is going.
Oh yeah.
So I figured, okay, 2020, I've got to find a way to play, independent ball or somewhere to just prove that I can get professional hitters out. Because I had the track record at the University of Maine. I got a lot of innings under my belt. I got to face a lot of good hitters. It was just, okay, I need to prove myself that I'm healthy and I can get people out. 2020 didn't happen. So I was stuck training back at home. Was really just, starting to try to look for any little thing that I could do to train a little bit differently, and just to try to get more velocity out of myself, because I'm 6'5", 225. Like I'm a big guy, strong guy. Like you look at me, you say this guy should throw hard, but
Yeah.
I was
Exactly.
throwing hard. I was low 90s, and so I just needed something to put me over the top. And all the football guys listening to this too will like the how this next part goes. I got connected with Tom House, who's the legendary quarterback coach, legendary MLB like pitching coach. And so Tom House, we started doing some work, and he was the one, through all of our virtual, we would do Zoom meetings every week, and he was showing me different ways to train and ways to look at my mechanics, because my velocity had went down just from training over the summer. I was like 88, and then with 3 months of working with Tom House, I was up to 98 and got a
Oh.
contract with the Angels.
Oh. So so that happened pretty quickly, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was unbelievable how fast it happened. Just because I was somebody who I threw hard in school, but it just, the time away from it or whatever had happened, the bad habits crept in, and so he was able to find them and press the right buttons, and I'm up to 98 now, and hopefully once the season comes around, maybe we can see triple digits. But
There we
it's
go.
just been a crazy process from how it started back in 2020, not knowing what's going to happen, and I'm a month and a half away from going to spring training with the Angels.
Yeah, man. That's pretty remarkable. So you kind of you found the next step, right? And you found the person that gets you there. He gets you where you need to be. You get the call that you were hoping for, you were looking for. And like you said, I mean, you're just the next step away from spring training. So what does that look like if you're, if you don't mind me asking, and if you're allowed to share, what does your next steps look like? What is your process to to get where you want to be? What does that road look like?
Sure. So This year's a little bit different than normal. Like normally March 1st is when all the minor league guys will go to spring training, and the MLB guys just get to show up a couple weeks before that. But they don't want to have everybody under one roof this year. So the minor league guys are broken up into April 1st instead of March 1st. So they'll let big league camp clear out, then all the minor leaguers will come in. And then for me, like I'm kind of the most unknown as far as pitchers go. So I'm going to get a chance to compete for a spot on any of the minor league teams. They're, low A, high A, double A, triple A. I have no idea where I'm going to
I know
end
they
up.
restructured, so there's what, 3 or 4 farm teams, give or take.
Yeah, so there's 4 full season farm teams or
Okay.
minor league teams, whatever you want to call them, and basically, however I perform at spring training will be how I end up, which level I end up at. So I'm in San Diego right now, still training. I bought a one-way ticket out here about a month ago, just to go out and meet Tom and try to get an opportunity somewhere, and it turned out with me getting a contract, and I haven't left yet. So
Yeah, no reason to leave, right? You got good
right.
weather. You're chasing the dream. You got the right person in your corner. So, you got all the right things to stay, right? It's you don't get the
Exactly.
ice cold temperatures that you get in Bangor, but you can give that up, right?
Without a doubt. Didn't have to think about it for a second.
Look, man, I'll share a super quick story. I was going up for the football banquet, right? After the 2018 football season, and because of their season, they pushed the banquet back to April, and it was like the 26th or so. So I'm thinking, you know what? I'm leaving Virginia. The weather's good. I'm in shorts and flip flops, right? It's like low 70s, spring weather, and I head up to. I make a pit stop in Boston. I'm a big Red Sox fan, so I stop there and catch a game at Fenway. Super nice, and then wake up in the morning, start to drive up the Main. It's about what, 4.5 hours, give or take, from Boston. And I get there and it's snowing. Like it's literally snowing. And I'm there watching a baseball game, waiting for the banquet to start up. So I'm catching a few innings of the baseball game and it's just snowing like it's a normal thing. And people are in the stands like, no big deal. Like, man, where am I? Like I literally just left in shorts and flops. So, nice San Diego weather. But look, man.
Yeah, Maine can flip on you every day. It's crazy, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's a different breed of people that can make it through playing in the Northeast. So you got to
Man,
respect it.
every single time I talk to somebody that's either from the area or has gone to the university, it's almost verbatim that exact statement. Like you've got to be a different breed, you got to be a different type of person to not just survive, but to thrive and excel in those types of conditions. So, man, that's pretty cool that you said that.
Yeah.
So, look, man, I'm not going to take up a lot more of your time. I just, again, I appreciate you jumping on and sharing your story. It's always interesting to see how people get to where they got, and then, what was that breaking moment, right? And for you, I appreciate you sharing that story. But before we get off of here, man, if you don't mind, what advice would you lend to anybody, whether it's a baseball player looking to come up, football player, lacrosse, whatever the sport is, it's pretty much universal. What advice would you give them, coming through high school and preparing for the next level?
So in every sport, the jump from level to level is going to be pretty significant. But if you can just basically stay in the fight, if you can grind through whatever level that you're at and trying to reach the next one, if you can just stay in the game and not get so discouraged that you give up. I've seen so many people who maybe they get a walk on spot to play in college, and they just keep going, they keep practicing, they keep training. You never know what's going to happen to the people in front of you with injuries, with playing time, with people transferring, with how the coach treats things. You just never know what's going to happen. So if you really love it, if you really are committed to your sport, you got to just stay with it, and you can't let other people's opinions and other people's voices try to get in your way of, oh, it's been too long. You should have already had something done by now. Whatever the narrative that people try to put on you, don't let it don't let it write your own story, because you have the opportunity to write your own story. And for me with baseball, It happened a lot longer than we thought. It could have been 2017 when I first could have gotten drafted. It could have been
Sure.
2014 when I was back in high school. So for it to all come together when it does, you have no control over it. But if you can just stay in the fight and just stay committed to what you're doing and don't let anything get in your way, you're at least giving yourself the chance to reach your goals and to play at higher levels. So just stick with it and keep giving yourself a chance.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate that. That's incredibly well put because, like you said, your career could have started back in 14 out of high school. You revisited it again in like 17, 18, went undrafted, but still didn't give up, right? The moral of this story is you kept pushing, you kept going forward, you kept looking for a way to not only better yourself but better your craft. You found the right person to help you get there, and you said it took what, a month and a half, and you're already
A
where you need to
little
be.
Yeah, exactly. It was kind of crazy how much faster it happened. You just get in contact with the right people, and then, a little over 3 months, and we're
About
getting a
3 months,
contract with
yeah.
the Angels. But that's the thing is you got to try to make connections. You got to try to reach out to people. Genuinely, I think people want to help you. And if
Yeah,
you are somebody who is committed to it, as somebody that shows that they really want it and they're willing to do what it takes, it's the choices kind of get made for you almost. It just takes what it takes. I flew across the country with 3 days notice on a one-way ticket just to figure out what what's my career going to be. So
right.
you don't really have, it's kind of like you've got to put all the chips to the middle, and it just takes what it takes. So you never really know until you kind of go all in on it. So you just got to be able to to look yourself in the mirror and figure out if you've got something left to prove, something left to give, and keep going with it. So hopefully my story is something that can inspire people. And if anybody ever has any questions or um, you know are dealing with whatever, I try to be able to be a resource. I know back in Maine I was doing a lot of pitching coaching with younger kids, and started punch out pitching, which you'll see it all over the internet. With I try to post up videos and stuff that I see to try to help people get better at their own game. So I'm trying to give it back. I know it's not just me being a player. I want to try to be able to make an impact off the field too, and help some other kids, and bring some other people up. So I like to be a resource if I can, and so I appreciate you having me on here.
Yeah, man. I definitely appreciate you jumping on. Hopefully, folks will take you up on that, man. Reach out, network, bounce off some best practices and share some thoughts. But nonetheless, man, I'm going to let you get out of here. I appreciate you taking the time chatting with me today. For the viewers out there, this is exactly why we do it. We got stories to share all day long. I'm dropping new stories every single day. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications so you don't miss anything. Until next time, I'm Rob Bodie. This was Spotlight 39. I appreciate you.